Today we will delve into one of the most horrifying and brutal cases in criminal history, the tragic case of Junko Furuta. This case, often referred to as 44 Days in Hell, involves the abduction, torture and murder of a 17-year-old girl in Japan. Viewer discretion is advised as the details of this case are extremely disturbing. Junko Furuta was a 17-year-old high school student living in Misato, Saitama Prefecture, Japan. She was known for being a bright and popular student with a promising future. Junko was kind-hearted, hard-working, and well-liked by her peers. However, her life took a tragic turn on November 25, 1988. On November 25, 1988, Junko Furuta was abducted by 4 teenage boys: Hiroshi Miyano, Joe Ogura, Shinji Minato, and Yasushi Watanabe. Miyano, who had a history of violent behavior and ties to the Yakuza, had developed an infatuation with Junko. When she rejected his advances, he and his accomplices decided to exact a horrific revenge. Junko was initially lured into captivity by Miyano and his accomplices under the guise of a friendly outing. Once in their control, they took her to Minato's house, where the nightmare began. Over the course of 44 days, Junko was subjected to unimaginable physical and sexual abuse. On the very first day, Junko was beaten and sexually assaulted repeatedly. She was raped by all 4 boys, as well as by other men who were invited to the house. She was forced to endure severe beatings, often being hit with blunt objects such as golf clubs and iron rods. The abuse was relentless and continuous. Junko was also subjected to extreme forms of humiliation and degradation. She was forced to drink her own urine and eat cockroaches. Her captors burned her with cigarettes, hot wax, and lighters. They also inserted foreign objects into her body, causing extremely painful injuries. The torture escalated over time. Junko's legs and feet were burnt with lighter fluid, and she was hung from the ceiling and used as a punching bag. Her eyelids were burnt with hot wax. She was starved and only given minimal food and water, sometimes laced with substances to inflict further suffering. In addition to the physical abuse, Junko was subjected to severe psychological torture. Her captors taunted and mocked her, telling her that she would never escape and that no one was looking for her. They forced her to call her parents and lie about her whereabouts, saying she had run away and was safe with friends. On several occasions, Junko attempted to escape, but each time she was caught and punished even more severely. Her captors also threatened her with further violence against her family if she tried to escape again. This left her feeling completely helpless and terrified. In the final days of her captivity, Junko's condition worsened significantly. She was unable to eat or drink and was left to lie on the floor in her own waste. Despite her obvious suffering, her captors continued to abuse her. Her injuries were so severe that she could not move properly, and her immune system was weakened, leading to infections. On January 4, 1989, after 44 days of unimaginable torment, Junko Furuta succumbed to her injuries. The final beating involved her being repeatedly hit with an iron barbell, leading to severe trauma. She was also set on fire by her captors, who poured lighter fluid on her legs and feet. Despite her pleas for mercy, they continued until she lost consciousness and eventually died. After Junko's death, her captors placed her body in a 55-gallon drum filled with concrete and disposed of it in Koto, Tokyo. They believed that this would prevent anyone from discovering their crimes. However, their actions did not go unnoticed. Following an unrelated arrest, one of the boys, Joe Ogura, confessed to his involvement in Junko's abduction and murder. This led to the arrest of Hiroshi Miyano, Shinji Minato, and Yasushi Watanabe. The police were horrified by the extent of the abuse and the details of Junko's suffering. The trial of Hiroshi Miyano, Joe Ogura, Shinji Minato, and Yasushi Watanabe was highly publicized. Despite the overwhelming evidence and the horrific nature of their crimes, the sentences handed down were widely criticized as being too lenient. Miyano received a 20-year sentence, while the others received shorter sentences, ranging from 5 to 10 years. None of them received the death penalty, as they were all juveniles at the time of the crime. Lenient sentences sparked outrage and disbelief among the public. There were widespread calls for harsher punishment and reforms to the juvenile justice system in Japan. The case also brought attention to the issue of bullying and violence among teenagers. Junko Furuta's story remains one of the most tragic and heart-wrenching cases of criminal brutality. Her suffering and death have left a lasting impact on Japan and the world. In her memory, advocates continue to fight for justice, stronger protections of victims, and reforms to ensure that such a tragedy never happens again.